Hi, I'm Ash. I'm a social scientist and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I make videos about sociological topics and things I find interesting on the internet, and occasionally I will make vlogs. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 20 most common nightmares and their meanings. So, let's get into the video. I'm someone who has a lot of nightmares. I have dream journals, and when I was little I used to have this really scary recurring dream about being on a roller coaster and falling off the roller coaster, but before I fell to my demise, I woke up, and I would always get this when I was lying on my side and then wake up on my back. It was a weird dream. Luckily I don't have it anymore. But I just find dreams so fascinating, and I'm regretting leaving my hair curly today because it looks awful. Anyway, I thought it would be interesting to discuss some common nightmares. I believe there are about 20 and what they mean according to the internet. So most of this is secondary research, so take it with a grain of salt. It's just a bit of fun. So the first one is falling. This nightmare could mean that you are feeling unstable, fearful, insecure, or overwhelmed about something. Healthline 2020 suggests a recurring dream of falling could mean that you have either an undiagnosed anxiety disorder or unresolved trauma, so that probably explains my roller coaster dream that we just talked about. Sometimes the specifics do matter in dreams or nightmares, so Healthline 2020 goes on to suggest that if you dream about being pushed off a cliff, then you may not feel secure. If you trip and fall off a cliff in your dream, then you may be lacking self-confidence in your life. And if you are dreaming about something like skydiving, then it may not necessarily be a negative thing. It could mean that you are letting go of something negative in your life, or something that no longer serves you. The next one is death. I always used to think that if you died in a dream, you died in real life. Obviously that's not the case, but that's one of those myths that I used to believe as a child. I was very naive, please don't come for me. But death is actually a very common nightmare. If you do have a nightmare about death, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be about change. Dream analyst Laurie Lowenberg suggests that dreaming of death is your subconscious's way of communicating with you about something. If you dream about your own death, it may mean that something in your life is changing or coming to an end. If you dream about someone else's death, it may mean that your relationship with that person is changing, or something that they represent to you is changing. So death isn't always a bad thing in the dream context. The next one is being late. So this dream usually symbolizes a fear of missing certain opportunities, or just a general feeling of being unprepared for something or something in life. Insects or bugs. Dreaming of insects or being bitten by an insect can often represent feelings such as disgust, discomfort, or tiny pressures that are nagging at you. Teeth falling out. Now this is a very common dream, and I had it once when I was getting a root canal done, and that's the only time I've ever had it. These dreams are horrible. I'm sorry if you get these quite often. Anyway, dreams about teeth falling out often reflect your own anxieties about how others might perceive you. Teeth falling out dreams can stem from things like a fear of rejection, anxiety, feeling unattractive, and embarrassment in general. These dreams can also mean you are going through a time where you feel powerless in certain situations. Being chased. A nightmare where you are being chased could mean that you are in danger of making a situation worse because you are running away from the situation instead of dealing with it head on. It could also be a fear of conflict, unresolved emotions, or just a desire to escape. Being naked in public. This type of nightmare could symbolize being uncomfortable in yourself, not knowing who you are as a person, or even being wrongly accused of something. I just find that really interesting. Being trapped or lost. If you have a nightmare about being lost or trapped, it might mean that you are looking for guidance in your waking life. If you get lost in a forest in your dream, it could indicate despair, fear, or confusion. If you find yourself lost in the dark, this dream could indicate either a breakdown of a plan you had or feelings of guilt. If you're asking for directions in your dream, you probably are seeking guidance. If you're lost in a crowd, it might mean that you are feeling backed into a corner. It's really windy in Melbourne today. Always windy here. Okay, the next one is being attacked. Very vague, I know. Dreaming of being attacked may highlight either your own vulnerability or some sort of issue with control. Missing an important event. I really hate these dreams because they feel so real. So dreams such as missing an important event could signal that you feel like you're missing out in real life, or it might just mean that you need to take a break. The next one is natural disasters. Usually if you're dreaming of a natural disaster, it's not a premonition or a vision, so don't worry about that. Dreaming about a natural disaster could just be to do with responses to what's going on in your waking life. For example, if you dream of dark and stormy clouds, it might mean that you're going through emotional turmoil. If you dream of a hurricane, it might represent a dark time you might be going through right now. If you dream of a tornado, it most likely means that change is going to occur. If you dream of a tsunami, it might mean that there is going to be a big emotional explosion. Could be you, could be someone else. If you dream of an earthquake, it might mean that you are not financially stable. If you dream of a flood, you may need to put more time into self-care. And if you dream of a meteor, it might mean you are facing soul transformation. Very interesting. I feel like those sorts of dreams are definitely trying to tell you something. Next, we have feeling unprepared for an exam, which would be the worst because just exams are so anxiety-inducing in general. So, dreams where you feel unprepared for an exam or something similar, like a work deadline, may highlight the stress in your waking life. Dreams like this can also highlight feelings of inadequacy or lack of self-confidence. An SO, so significant other, partner, leaving you. A nightmare like this is usually when you are evaluating your current relationship, and it can be good or bad. There are many meanings for a dream where your SO is leaving you, such as fear of abandonment, relationship insecurity, or maybe it's a way to gain self-esteem during a divorce or something like that. Being visited by someone who has already passed on. To me, a dream like this could just signal the brain's way of dealing with grief. It could also symbolize wanting closure or just unfinished business with that person. Drowning. A dream about drowning usually symbolizes that in your waking life you are going through emotional turmoil. You might be overwhelmed at work, be suffering from relationship issues, or feeling powerless in a situation. It may mean that it's time for you to have an emotional cleanse and just give yourself time for self-care. Being paralyzed. So this is not to be confused with sleep paralysis. Dreaming of being paralyzed or becoming paralyzed might mean that you are feeling stuck and afraid to move forward, or you might find that you're feeling uncomfortable and can't get yourself out of those sorts of situations. And it could also represent a desire to start fresh. Accidents, again, very vague, but such dreams usually occur when you're wanting to become more self-empowered in your own life. Physical aggression. So nightmares about physical aggression or violence usually represent feelings of powerlessness or aggression in your real life. They could also represent threats to our feelings of safety, especially if there might be weapons involved. The next is interpersonal conflicts. So such nightmares usually indicate unresolved feelings such as resentment or maybe a fear of a relationship. And finally, health concerns. Dreaming about health concerns may sometimes be a warning, but other times could be a reflection of your own fear of death or that you should pay more attention to your surroundings. Very interesting. So I'm not a dream analyst. I'm not an expert. This is just like pure research on the internet, but I do find dreams absolutely like fascinating. I write my dreams down, as I think I said earlier. I'm not sure if eating cheese before bed has any actual scientific evidence that it makes your dreams makes you dream more vividly. But I do want to say that according to Sheaves, Rick, and Freeman 2023, if you are suffering from nightmares like a lot more than usual, having a targeted approach to minimizing them may also help in treating disorders such as anxiety, paranoia, PTSD. These researchers also suggest that depression or depressive disorders can increase nightmares. And on a completely different note, one study about dream recall highlights that eating fish can help with lucid dreaming. So I guess if you want to lucid dream, eat more fish. And in that same study, better dream recall was also correlated with eating fruit. And I love fruit and I always dream. Anyway, I want to know, what nightmares or interesting dreams have you had lately? Let me know in the comments below, especially if you made it this far to the video. Anyway, I'm Ash. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video about nightmares and their meanings, feel free to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We are such a small community, so anything helps, and I'm so grateful for all your support. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!